Dependency, with Garth and Natasha.
Reality radio, at its best, where every life is a biography.
Sundays, at 10 a.m., and exclusively, on I-95.5 FM.
And streamed live, on the Eye on Dependency Facebook page, and YouTube channel.
Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago, and welcome to Dependency right here on I-95.5 FM, live on the Dependency Facebook page and YouTube channel. Good morning, Natasha.
Good morning, Garth. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. Welcome to the show. A gentle reminder, as always, for those of you joining us on our Facebook page or YouTube channel, and you're watching the live, please drop a like, a comment. That really does help keep us on the air. So, and it's free 99. So don't forget to like the live when you join.
And good morning, Storm and Tom, Tamika. And of course, in studio we have here Mr. Rhondall Feeles. Morning to you, sir.
Morning. Thanks for having me.
That's not hold on. Right, go ahead.
Morning, everybody. Thanks for having me.
All right, so during the week you would have heard us advertise an interview this morning, and as you know, for the past 20 plus years we have been interviewing women who survived domestic violence, and because of this, we've been getting a lot of messages from people, men especially, but why we only focusing on the women, and men go through it too and all of that. So we diligently tried to have someone in studio here with us this morning, accompanying Mr. Feeles, to tell his story. Now, this, and I know a lot of you, you've never heard, we remember Every Life is a Biography here, and you would have never heard from a man directly. So Mr. Feeles, we tried working to get someone in studio with us. And because of our brand that we try to protect, and which includes not advertising, something that we know would not happen, we're going to ask Mr. Feeles to explain to the listener, because, and I hear you too sometimes, would bemoan the fact that we don't take men seriously. And yes, men end up in domestic violence situations. But Mr. Feeles, some men, excuse me, most men for some reason don't like speaking about these issues because the guy is not here, and we tried reaching him by phone and we cannot get him. So could you, before we go to break and come back with the Minister of Gender Affairs in the Office of the Prime Minister, a short clip, and then we'll get into the Mr. Feeles. Could you explain to our listener, why is it so difficult for men to address this publicly, and how do we expect society to take men seriously where this is concerned, and not push back and say, well, because we talk about men going to police stations to make reports and they're getting laughed at, and we always hear these stories.
Right.
But for some reason, they never want to face the public to explain what they've been through at the hands of a female partner.
I mean, and you just answered the question you asked. Think about it. Think about you being abused. And then you go to a place or an institution that you expect you should be heard, and you're laughed at. Think about a society that when you speak or when you post what you say, persons will come on to that comment and say, it had to mean that you do something to get what you want, or get the result that you have right now. Now, we have a culture where we are very protective of women when persons say those things to them. We do not have a culture where we, who are supposed to be the protectors, protect men in those places also. I am one of the few voices that will stand up and say, hey, that is a man and that is a living human being too. Many others in similar position who have public voices, who have public platforms, don't do it. You've never heard a prime minister or a president go anywhere and speak about the challenges men face or defend men. Even when it comes to gender, let's look at the programs. Look at the advertisements when you're talking about gender-based violence. Look at the advertisements. What do you see a man perpetrated as every time? You see a video with a man standing over a woman and the mother and the child covered and the man with his fist about to beat on everybody. That is the projection and the imagery that we've put in our society. We haven't told men in this society that they are safe to speak. I've had groups where we've had spaces for men to speak silently that has been infiltrated by women. In private male spaces that we enforce should be for men only. Take things out of there and put in the public. Snapshot it and put it out in the public as well. I am never surprised when a man is afraid to comment. Now radio is visible. Radio isn't invisible anymore. And I'm pretty sure we'll call him and we'll get him eventually. But now he knows if he sits in here, his face is visible. So I still can't be upset with him. And there's a man who get bounced by his ex-wife. Bounced down, see him in here and knock him down. Pictures was on, the police had to pick him up off the ground. So that is the reality of it. So we have not made or declared that this space, not here I mean, but this national space is a safe space for men. And I would say it's everybody's fault. How many more persons you're hearing saying that hey, men are victims too, men are abused too? People in Trinidad don't even know what domestic violence is, according to the Act of Parliament. We believe domestic violence is only physical violence, not under the law. Under the law, it encompasses verbal abuse, psychological abuse, financial abuse, emotional abuse. But who go in and walk in the station and say, boy, my wife XYZ all the time? Who want to hear, go man, make up with your wife, boy, what are you talking about? That is the behavior. That is the reality. And you need to understand that we have a bad culture that is pervasive. And unless we who have voices address it first and make those who are supposed to be the victim, here's what we asking the victim to do. Feel safe in an uncomfortable space to advocate for themselves. We will never ask a female victim to do that. You understand where I'm coming from?
No, there's no. Me a space like this?
No, I'm talking about the whole national space. The national space. Where you remember your question is, Mr. Feeles, why men wouldn't come out and talk and say what's going on? Why they don't?
Yeah, because
it is challenged, it is questioned. That's why I'm saying, is his story true? It means he did something for this to happen to him.
I think the same is true actually for a lot of women as well, in terms of the fear of judgment, the fear of ridicule, the fear of, we have this thing that is said about women who don't leave. Why didn't you leave? Right? So the same is true for women in a lot of what you've mentioned. But I think what the point that God is trying to make is that I on dependency, having done many of these interviews with women before, is clearly a safe space, not just for women, but for men as well to share their stories. That's what we do. We don't just share stories, we change lives. That's our tagline. So I hope that you understand that Iron Dependency, we're not talking about the wider community, but Iron Dependency is a safe space for people to share their stories and to receive the kind of support and encouragement and upliftment that our audience on Iron Dependency provides.
Oh, that's good to hear.
No, because a lot of women who sat here with us, so what we're saying is that women are braver than men when coming to being open and honest about what they've experienced. And okay, this platform provided for me, and I could tell you this program and Dependency saved my life, because when we started, the first thing I did was tell my story, right? What I've been through, the how I managed to lose a military career because of crack cocaine, and that opened up a door for a lot of men to do the same, and women to come and do the same, because I didn't want to tell this story because I wanted people to feel sorry for me. I left Trinidad and Tobago, I was gone. But something was nagging me that young soldiers like myself and servicemen will end up in an arm of the protective service where they will have a senior person convince them to do something wrong and lose their career. It's based on that I decided to tell this story. And indeed, it worked for a lot of people who felt, well, if he could tell it, because I didn't want nobody to tell my story for me, right? It's my story that is called history.
Right.
His story. Now, we've followed, and you and I have been communicating for years now, but we followed some of the things that you've said. And if by 2024, we don't have, let's say, 5 men who could face the public and say, I was with a wife, or I was with a partner who abused me physically, emotionally, verbally. And, when I tried telling my boss, I tried reporting it to the police, I was laughed at. And you see, when we have these stories coming out, then the narrative was changed. But if they stay hidden, we can't change the narrative.
You see, it's particularly different. A man don't see himself as being abused. You didn't culture him to see himself as being abused. A young boy who has sex with a big woman don't see himself as being sexually abused.
Correct.
You've told him he's macho.
Yeah.
We have been poor at sensitizing men and being vulnerable and seeing themselves as victims.
I mean, I am. What makes this topic so amazing is this is my thesis. So I'm presently doing Caribbean history, and Caribbean history tells us that masculinity is not overpowered by femininity. It is overpowered by masculinity. It is the man making the man feel less than.
Correct.
And when we start to look at things from that perspective, we realize that maybe women are okay with listening to things that men struggle with. But history has proven that masculinity is overpowered by masculinity.
Also, if men are not willing to listen to other men, because a lot of what we see, the violence that men perpetrate, a lot of that is driven by
men
by
towards other
your
men.
need to prove yourself to other men, not necessarily to women, but to other men. So it's the work of men, I believe, to dispel those myths.
Of course it is. But
Patriarchy.
both. You see, we love that word patriarchy, and we could talk about that later. But it's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Because most of our men raised by women, right?
Yeah.
Yes. But because
but whether the man leaves or not, most of our men raised by women.
Yes.
So it's an involvement of both men and women together.
absolutely.
And it's a culture that we have inherited, and that patriarchy that I often love to hear people talk about. I often ask who are these men that were patriarchal? It wasn't all of them. It was a specific man. Because I always remember these stories my father shared with me at the time of patriarchy, where he, as a black man, didn't have the rights to go into certain places.
But that's where it stemmed from.
Correct, little
History
white
shows
girls
that,
and little
yeah.
white
That's where it
and
came
white
from.
women.
It's a system,
And
not an individual.
we remain conditioned
Correct.
with
So
a lot of our slave
correct.
ways.
So there's always been a portion of men also that has suffered. So that is why you say I don't go into patriarchy. That is why I deal with what we're dealing with now, because we have to change it now together as men and women. We have to find a solution where we could make young boys. Look, there was a domestic violence conference just recently. Every single example of domestic violence that came out of that panel before I spoke was men to women, and we had a plethora of young men there from the schools. How are they to identify when they are being abused? So if you're having a domestic violence panel with the experts, psychologists, you're talking about the Attorney General hosted that, lawyers, everybody who's supposed to be able to identify and sensitize people on what domestic violence is. That said nothing about men and their vulnerability in domestic violence. Imagine I didn't go to say it. You feel the little boys would have learned that they could be victims too. The young men that came to the mic timid. When the young women that came to the mic were very boisterous and loud. Because they were made to feel that is their space to speak. So whereas I understand, we are despondent sometimes when men cower and men say, boy, nobody ain't go hear me, or I go come on the show, or I will go here and talk, and it's nothing to do with the show, it's nothing to do with anything. And I still know he gave me the commitment of being here, so when you tell me he ain't, you call him and you ain't get him on the phone.
Yes, just try it.
We'll call him back, we'll get him. I don't think he's afraid to be on the phone. What I think he is sensitive with is having his face seen. At the end of the day, you don't know the repercussions it has for men. But your woman, do you that by? Your partner, your brethren, your neighbor, does tell you that. But a man or a woman, and woman does watch and say, but you're a soft man, you could never be with me because you can't even handle the last woman you was with. So it ain't nothing about man alone, as men and women perpetrating that on each other.
So the Gender Affairs Ministry, remember we attended that men's forum. So they were on point then, because they first they had that forum for men. They had no women in the room.
Right.
You and I were there.
Right.
And after meeting with PS Gangapasad, right? He and Ms. Kwame Allen, they outlined rightly, because he listened. I mean, it's not very often you get a PS who willing to listen to you, right? He sat there and he listened to me walking out of prison and what I had to endure trying to reintegrate into a society that was unforgiving. Ironically, most of the PSs that I've met are women. I had to sit in front of them and pour my heart out and forget what they would think of me when I leave there if I'm a stupid man or I'm just feeling sorry for myself. I had to sit there and pour my heart out. Not everybody cared.
Correct.
Right? There are those who will listen and care, and there are those who you never hear from again.
Correct.
So when this PS did that, and he said, you know what, we want this to be public now. We're talking about a policy for men leaving prison. Anybody leaving prison for that matter of fact. And they want to turn their lives around. Don't have to take the chance of knocking on several doors and have them slam in their face when the ministry now will set up this policy that, you know, I don't know if it reached the cabinet or what, but the idea is to give men a little more confidence that even if they fail, they can revitalize and reintegrate and recuperate and become a productive citizen in society.
Well, Mr. God, let me ask you this. You said somebody cared. But then for you, what I want to ask you is that you did and you were able to put yourself in this space where you were comfortable telling your story.
I had to do it.
But then the question now, coming from your perspective, it comes where we asking ourselves, how many men are mentally strong and emotionally vulnerable as you have been throughout this journey of letting the world know, well, I am God's and this is who I am.
You know what motivated me to do that?
Yeah, that's a serious
You know what
question.
motivated me to another man? You know who the other man? I was looking, the time I spent out in Canada and New York, I look at talk shows, different talk shows. Robert Downey Jr., the famous Iron Man.
Yeah.
Robert Downey Jr., Samuel L. Jackson, these guys were hardcore cocaine addicts. A lot of people don't know that, but Robert Downey Jr. was so bad that he ended up sleeping in somebody else's bed. When a woman walks in her house, she sees this man sleeping on her bed. He went in the wrong house. He been to prison. Tim Allen, same thing. Samuel L. Jackson, same thing. When I heard they sat in front of the public and told the world, Sam Jackson said the reason why he played Gator so well in his Jungle Fever, because he was Gator in real life. He was a crack addict. This is why he could have played that part so well. Look at Sam Jackson today. Look at Robert Downey Jr. today. So when I saw that, I said, well, wait. if they could tell the public this,
Who's me?
who am I?
Yeah.
And this is what made me jump on a plane and
Yeah.
come back to Trinidad and decide I'm going to use my story now to prevent other servicemen, especially from walking the road that I have walked. So, and I motivated other people to do same. I remember Tony Lee doing an address for us at the High Commission when we had our anniversary. And Tony calculated how many programs Dependency would have done with people telling their stories. It's countless. Yeah, you understand? So, Rhondall, what we're saying here, those of you just joining us, we chatting with Mr. National Award recipient Rhondall Feeles. And as you know, he's been a champion for men in Trinidad and Tobago. And we'll try him again. We're going to go to a break.
Sure.
And when we return, we'll play a little piece from the Minister of Gender and Child Affairs from the Office of the Prime Minister. Natasha, could you set this up?
Yes, I pulled a clip of a news clip from TTT where the minister was one of a couple of people talking about the incidents of domestic violence against men and how the ministry was treating with it.
Let me talk to him. If he answers.
And so we're gonna play that video after we come back from this break.
Yeah, bro. It's Rhondall here, right? There was gender.
Slavery, a terrible time in our history. The kidnapping, buying and selling of people for profit, the exploitation of another human being. It still exists today. It has a new name: human trafficking. Anyone can be a victim. There is forced labor, sexual exploitation, and domestic servitude. Human trafficking is a worldwide problem and an emerging concern for us here in Trinidad and Tobago. If you know of or suspect human trafficking activity, call the counter-trafficking hotline at 800-4CTU or 800-4288. Human trafficking is a crime. Identify it, report it, stop it. A message from the Counter-Trafficking Unit of the Ministry of National Security.
Hello.
Hi, this is Patricia Kent from HMP London. Can I speak to Miss Sheila, please?
This is Miss Sheila.
Hi, I've got an important call for you. Please hold the line.
Mommy, it's Sherry.
Oh God, Sherry, we looking for you all the time. 3 weeks now. Where you going?
Mommy, according to tell you, I get locked up. I had drugs in my luggage and I'm in England right now. In jail.
Oh God, Sherry, what? What you do? How you reach there? Oh God, how we gonna do?
Oh God, Mommy, don't cry, don't cry, don't cry. It'll be alright. Sorry, I'm sorry.
Eye on Dependency. Reality radio at its best every Sunday on I-95.5 FM. Don't miss it.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, sir. Right, so we're going to do a icebreaker. Here, I want everybody to know. I want everybody to clap once. Together. You want to clap. Right.
This is our Creative Expressions program. This is a program that we cater for participants between the ages of 7 to 17. So we have participants from all over. We have from Libita, we have from Picton, we have from Chinapore, we have from Second Caledonia. They come from all over, right? Because this is a safe space for them to come. And we have partnered because the IATF, they have always worked with us. Yeah, so they're part of it also. As you can see in the background, they're doing etiquette training because we think that the children need to know about etiquette. Because if they have their graduation or they go to a wedding or whatever they know that they go to, at least they will have an idea as to how to conduct themselves. And the theme of the program for this July-August is National Pride. So our children must have pride in their nation because this is where we live, this is where we are growing up, and this is where we will continue to live. The beautiful Twin Island Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. So basically that is what our camp is about.
So we did Constable McPherson from the Inter-East Task Force Hearts and Minds, and today I'm here in collaboration with the Office of Law Enforcement Policy, Camp National Pride, to conduct or show the young ones about dining etiquette within the community. will have a nice experience teaching young ones, because this is where we go and these are the pillars of our future. And diamond etiquette or etiquette on the whole is a avenue or tool to make them better individuals for tomorrow society. Thank you.
Do you want to support our work at Eye on Dependency? Here are 3 ways to do so. You can make a donation to the Eye on Dependency account at Republic Bank. You can follow the Eye on Dependency page on Facebook. You can subscribe to the Eye on Dependency channel on YouTube. Liking, commenting, and sharing the live on a Sunday also helps. Thanks in advance for your support.
Thank you for staying with us. This is Eye on Dependency.
Question.
Talking about
This is
domestic
what
violence
moves
this morning, and we are
when
joined
you are
by
willing and
Rhondall Feeles of the Fathers Association of Trinidad and Tobago, and we are joined on the line by a male survivor of domestic violence. John is on the line, and a reminder too, if you're tuned in on Facebook or YouTube, please drop a like on the live.
Morning, John.
Morning. Good day.
Thank you very much for agreeing to speak with us.
No problem.
Yeah, and we understand the circumstance, so we are still grateful that you choose to tell us. I mean, Rhondall, give us a little hint. Is Rhondall or Rhondall?
Rhondall, but
Rhondall,
I mean,
yes.
that doesn't make it where they want it already, so I go find them.
Yeah, Rhondall explains to us, but you have the mic now. Could you tell us, on behalf and speaking on behalf of other men out there, what was your experience as a male in a relationship that was not very savory?
Okay, you use the word was. This is something that is like, although it is still going on, and I could see it continuing in my life in the future, right? Because being abused by these women is unbelievable. It's like somebody just take a knife and send it straight into your body, and it's not coming out, no matter how hard you try, right? My story is, like, 10 years ago, I met someone, and she was the perfect person. She wasn't any good looker. She was out of shape, but the way she treated me, she was soft-spoken. She was everything a man could ever look for a woman on the inside. And I chose her. I came out of a relationship 2 years before. I had full custody. I had everything. And then I found the perfect woman to start my life with. And that is what had happened. In the beginning, there was no expense that she couldn't cover, meaning like she will always buy me new clothes, want to go out and stuff, and she was like spending money, and she was there for me. Sexually, she was the best I ever came across, right? And our life started, and then 3 years after, we moved in together, and everything was good. But then it's like she will tell me, well, remember she have children before, so she will say she have to go and stay by she children and things. And I will say, okay, no problem. But now that I'm looking back at it, those are the times that she go on the outside of the relationship, right? I have been through a lot. She broke my knee, elbow, back. She bounced me. It's a whole set of abuse. But at the end of the day, it's like you don't listen to your mind, you listen to your heart. And that is the problem. Everybody is just listening to their heart. Because you know what it's like, when she does something bad, you don't even look at it. You look at all the good times.
John,
there was a time that...
John, tell us what led to the breakup. We know it's going to have a lot of ins and outs and things she did and you did or whatever, but tell us the experience of
It led to the breakup.
Not even the breakup. Tell us about the abuse, the matter that made the relationship end. That's what we want to talk about. How did it end?
Okay.
Yeah, was she physical, verbal, that kind of thing?
Okay. It was verbally and it was physically, right? She started to curse. She started to pelt things at me.
How long in a relationship that happened when you started? How long these things, objects being thrown at you and
for what?
And yeah.
After we moved in together, probably about 2 years after. But it never used to happen as frequent as now. Within the last 4 or 5 months now, right? What had happened was I had gone to church a few months ago, and something opened my eyes and said, Ryan, something going on. And when that had happened, I was like, okay, I cloned her phone, right? And every morning I getting up 5 o'clock in the morning, 2 of us getting up. I go to the kitchen, I make breakfast, I organize her lunch. Then I will come wake her up, make her eat her breakfast, give her her tablet, and then I will go and get ready. And when I clone the phone, every evening when I come home, my phone is be going off, ping, ping, ping. And there was this one evening, she said, too much of messages. And I was like, whatever. But every evening when I come home, I used to sit on that front step and read all the messages that the guy was sending her and she was sending back to him. And for 2 months, I did this. And I thinking it was just a phase and she will outgrow it and stuff. But one thing led to another. And then she came in a Sunday and said, get out of the house, otherwise I'm going to call the police and tell them you hit me. And I just walked away. And she spent probably about 2 weeks by the guy's house. And then she came back down because the police called her and tell her that I need to get some stuff out of the house. Because before she did that, she hid my keys for the house. But at that point in time, I just didn't care. So I didn't even bother with my keys. And
so who assisted you? The police assisted you to get your clothes in?
No, they called her and she said she will drop it by the other house where I am.
Okay.
Right? There was
But as you mentioned the police, what's been your response? When you went and you tell them you want your clothes, were they responsive? Were did they shun you? What was, as a man going into a police station saying, well, all right, my wife tell me leave my house, she don't want me there again. What was the response?
It was the most horrible thing that I ever experienced, because I come in and I tell them that, and they were like, if I am to blame, or if I did something wrong, right?
Explain that. What do you mean?
It's like you go in and say, officer, my madam threw me out of the house. I've been out of the house, right, for about 2 weeks. I need to get some stuff from the house. And it was like, okay, sit down and wait. And they have me there for probably about 2-3 hours. Then he say, I will call her and hear what she has to say, right? And she came down. And the thing is, when she came down, all the officers and them were around her and talking to her and comforting her. So this is me. I've been cheated on. I just want to get my stuff, and you all are comforting her, right? And then watching me hard, right? Remember, I knew everything, like her movements and all these things, because of the text messages. There was a morning I caught her with the guy. She came out of the car and she went over to the van. And when she went over the van, she opened the door and she was rubbing her breast and thing all over his face and then playing up with his face. And I have all this on videotape, right? And it hurt, because this is the person that you want to spend the rest of your life with. And this is what you're seeing. I mean, I just watched her and told her what I said. I just said good morning, and I think that was it. And, she was just frozen.
Now,
right?
John, let's stick up in for a minute. I wanted to go back a little bit to the start of the relationship, and I mean, you said she wasn't really a looker, but she presented a personality or a character that you felt comfortable with, right?
Yes.
Could you identify some of the reasons why you think she wanted to be in a relationship with you? What did she like about you, you think?
Okay. Like I said, I came out of my past relationship 2 years prior to that.
Right.
And I was still hurting with my ex, right? Before her. We used to spend whole nights, every night. Not one night will skip. And we on the phone until each other, one of us fall asleep.
Right.
Right? Every single night. We go out together. We do everything. We was doing everything together. She wasn't doing anything without asking my advice first, right? And vice versa. I was doing everything too. And then, she just show up. She buy me a new T-shirt. She might buy a new jeans, something like that. She's always doing it. So these kind of people, right, that I am, you see, like, now I know what kind of people they are. I think they call them, those are narcissists. Yes. They kind of love
try to describe things they don't understand too, John, as yet. Things working. I don't say I might think so, but I mean, be careful with certain things as well.
Yeah, but John, let me ask this. Were you working at the time when she met you?
Yes.
You had a good job?
Yes. Well, not good, but it was paying all the bills, and I had a lot of money extra and stuff, and we used to go places and stuff together.
Right. Was she working at the time?
Yes, she was.
Right. So you all now, do you all have any children together?
No.
Right. So, but let me just go back before that. Now, your mom and dad, they still alive?
No.
Was your mom abusive to him or vice versa?
My parents divorced when we were young, right? My dad was an alcoholic.
Okay.
And he never supported his children, right?
Right.
My mom supported us, right? And, everything I saw that my father was, I said, no way am I ever going to do that. I will never disown my children for nobody. I will always be in my children's life, and Rhondall could testify to that.
Right. But your mom was not an abusive mom?
No, she wasn't, but she was, how to say it, she wasn't really
controlling,
strict.
No.
Opposite. How are you thinking?
No, because let me ask this, right? You mentioned, you said these women. So was it more than one partner that you met who was abusive to you?
No, my first person, that's my kid's mom, she was never abusive. But, we never quarreled for the 11 years we were together. We never really had no kind of arguments and stuff. She was much younger than me. She was very beautiful. And I have nothing bad to say about my ex. Well, my kid's mom, because, she gave me 3 children, and that was it. But there were outside interference, and that's why we probably broke up, and one thing led to another. But with my ex, my kid's mom, I wouldn't think, she did stuff, if people hear the story, well, they know who was wrong and stuff. I kept my children, and that was it, right?
No,
but what I need to say is, everything that happened between my ex before we finished, my children, mother and I, was the same thing I was seeing with this one. And I think the males in our society need to know these signs, right?
Because I was just about to ask you, what led to the first red flag for you? Was she an aggressive?
Okay.
Yeah, tell us that.
All right. Now, if you're living with a person you're with a person for 10 years, right? Sexually, you know exactly what is going on, right? And you see, before the breakup, a few, like when the cheating starts, sexually, they do different things they never did in the past, right? A time, I mean, I was reading those texts, and then she told me, Ryan, come, I need you. And I was like, I didn't even want to go, right? And then she just pushed that door, and what to me, her eyes were blood red. Anytime I call you and I tell you I want this, you have to give it to me, right? There's no if, but, maybe. And she just, what she do? She went and she slammed me in the door, right? And it's like, I just went to the spare room and I locked the door, and I spent the night in there, right? How could you be cheating on me and expect me to come to you when the night comes, right? There's a lot of little things that you don't pick up on. There was a time one of my kids called me unexpected. He needed extra money. So when he said that I need more money, no, she's right there. No, she's a person who gets jealous if I have to give my children anything. So I got up and I went into the bedroom. When I went into the bedroom now, after the call, she came in. Since when you getting up and you moving away with your phone? I said, well, ain't you doing that all the time? And she just walked back out. She didn't say a word, right? And there was a time I came home, I had an earache, sitting down on the front step, right? Because the hospital was full with people. When she came, I'm calling your phone 2 hours now and I can't get you. You know, she hold me by my head and slam my head on the wall. Totally just slam it on the wall, right? And then say, get and sit down in a van for me. And she carried me by a medical center. And the doctor said there was a build-up on wax. But for the 40, 50 years in practice, he have never seen that wax shift like the way it shifted when he was looking into it, right? The time when she broke my knee, we were in the hospital, but, you know, she's staying with me. So I can't say anything. You know, at that point in time, you're hurt and you're angry. You know your mouth will say what happened. But she was always there by me with her hands and stuff on her shoulder. So it's like they were keeping you there. Sometimes if we go anywhere and a friend of mine, she will be with her friends. And if I see a friend and two of us talking, she will leave, come, get me, and carry me back by her and her friends.
John, let me ask you something.
They alienate you.
Yes, I was just gonna ask that.
Yeah.
Sorry, Rhondall. I was just gonna ask that if she did isolate you from your family and friends and from your children. It sounds like that is what she was doing in order to hide her abuse of you and being with you by the doctor and all of that, preventing you from expressing yourself and what you were going through to anybody.
Exactly. But you see, when you're thinking with your heart and you love a person,
you thought she would change?
You don't see it.
What were you thinking going through all of this? Did you?
She made a mistake.
No, no, John. No, let me ask you this, right? It may sound funny, but you did mention that the sex was out of this world.
Yeah.
So could it be that? Could it be that kept you?
This is what they do. They love bomb you. They give you anything that you want. They do different things, right? And I tell you, and this is the hurtful part that I didn't even spoke to Rhondall about this part. You see how the last 2 times there, she changed up and she did something, right? Remember our custom with other things, right? And normally when that time comes, you will hold back, right? Do you know, twice some went into her, but I was afraid to tell her anything because I know she's going to get on. So I just didn't say anything.
Oh, I don't understand what you mean. Yeah, I don't understand what you mean, yeah.
And then now the breakup now happened in September, right? We are in November. So, and there's no contact with my court order right now. There's no contact between none of us. So I don't even know if she's pregnant, right? So there's another thing too. If she's and right before we broke up, she was giving me conversations like, Ryan, let me tell you something. If we ever done, and I come to you and I tell you I want it, you have to leave whoever you're with or whatever you're doing and come with me, you know. And I was just like, what stupidness you talking? And, you know, I would just go, right? then she would say things like, well, okay, she told me that part about the sex. Then she's saying, once, just remember, anytime I call you, you have to be there for me, right? So it's like, you know, she was throwing hints. And then she said, you know, when we got together, remember when I got pregnant and we got rid of the child because it was too soon? That was the most hurtful and painful experience she ever had. She was saying, you know, if I get pregnant again, you know I'm going to keep the child, right? So between me and you all, I don't even know.
John, I'm ask you something apart. As I say, I just don't want to focus on the woman only. There's other aspects of these things, right? Because then, if you're expressing all these different forms of abuse, to me, I hear you talk. It sounds like emotional abuse, finance, and a number of different types that covered under the Domestic Violence Act, right?
Oh,
what? Just now, wait. Were you aware? Did you feel abused during this entire thing? Did you feel that you need to go somewhere to make yourself space, to make yourself feel safe as a man enjoying these things? That's what I think we need to capture. What did you feel like? Hey, I'm a danger. I need to get get to a police station. Did you know that you could go and get a protection order? What was your education level on these things? How were you sensitized?
Okay, well, my education now is 110%, but before it was 0, right? Because for my last court appearance where the protection order was concerned, when I got to say a few little things, the judge asked me, so Mr. Khan, all these things, did you make any report? How could you be with someone and then go into the police station and then make a report like that? Right? And, you know, this is what we men don't know. Once something happened to you, you need to go to the police station and you need to make a report. Because since this incident happened and we separated, when I faced the magistrate, probably the judge a month after, she took out about 3 she made 3 police complaints against me. And I don't even know what the complaints was. I don't even know. And I haven't seen her or spoken to her. Right? So that is another thing. People could go into the police station and say X, Y, so by so. The police will take the report and that's the end of it. They don't even come to find out if that is true or to do anything. The police don't do anything. They just take the complaint and that is it.
So, right? How did you find out about those reports then? If the police never approached you?
In the protection order case.
Okay.
When she told the judge, she said, ma'am, I have went and I have gotten 3 other police complaints on him. So I want to know I don't even know what she went and said. And if I wasn't in contact with her, how could she make them complaints?
Correct.
So what action did you take? Did you take any action yourself?
You see, I got bounced. I was on the road. I was out of it for about 2 weeks, I think, or 3 weeks. And when the police came, they came the Tuesday. I wasn't there. I was in therapy. They came the next Tuesday. I wasn't there. I was in therapy because that's the day for the therapy. And then the police told my child, tell your father, get in contact with the police and I'm in the station. I called. They said that I have a summons. My court case is tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock. When I said, okay, this was about 2:30. The officer done leave. So I have to go there in the morning, collect the summons, and then go to the court to get the link. Right? When I reach now, the court tell me the matter is for 12:20 p.m. So I took out a restraining order because of the accident where she bounced me. Right? And when we faced the judge said, madam, he got his summons only this morning and he's ready to proceed. And he filed one against you. Are you ready to proceed? She said, no, she's not ready for that. So that matter get pushed back to later on this year. Right? So the judge just was doing just her protection order. Right? With her protection order, Now, remember when you now break up, you want to call the person and find out what happened, what's going on. Just like how everybody wants to know what really happened, why was the breakup and things. You in the relationship want to know and you want to hear them say it, right? She said, as we calling down the phone, I called about 6 times. I left messages. There were no response. When we went to court to use that, she told the judge, I'll be calling on the phone. The judge said, okay, I don't want no contact between the two of you all. Nothing is to be published on social media and stuff. Right. I am supposed to stay 100 feet away from her. Right? That is what the judge said. Then now when my lawyer asked for their leave, she said, no, I'm not finished as yet. She said, I know this is her protection order, but she's given me a protection order as well, right? She has to stay 100 feet from me. Same thing with the social media. And how she has to pass in front of the house where I am now. To get to the other house, the judge she has to take a detour, which is like an hour drive, just to pass around. And since then to now, once she's going home, she's break that. She always passes in front of my house, morning and evening once she's staying in the house that day, right? I went to the police station. I told them, they say it's a public road. They can't stop nobody. I said, but the judge ordered it. And they were like, they just turned me off and they started to talk to each other. And I just left.
John, hang on a second. If you're just joining us, folks, you're listening to Dependency. We want to go to a quick break and we come back and wrap up with John. But you're listening to someone who experienced, traumatic
violence at the hand of his partner.
Right. Now, John, when we return, we just wanted to formulate in your mind how you're going to answer this during the break. You spoke about she hitting you with her car, and of course tablets. Now we can talk about that when you return, and we wrap up with you and continue with Mr. Feeles here. You okay with that?
Yeah, no problem.
All right. So let's go to that quick break, and when we return, we'll continue with domestic violence survivor John, who is on the phone with us, and Mr. Rhondall Feeles, who is in studio with us. We'll be back. Stay right there.
Ah boy. Feel like I'm gonna buy myself a senorita tonight.
Nah. You know you might be promoting slavery.
Slavery? What you talking about?
Hey, modern day slavery or human trafficking is just what some of these people just do. You know some of these women were tricked to come here? Some are held against their will, abused, and even beaten. Most times the girls don't even see any of the money that is paid for them. And every night, they just have to come out looking nice and sexy for somebody like you. Human trafficking is a serious problem and a serious crime. Persons who solicit commercial sex services may be contributing to human trafficking. A message from the Counter-Trafficking Unit of the Ministry of National Security.
Hello. Hi, this is Patricia Kent from HMP London. Can I speak to Miss Sheila, please?
This is Miss Sheila.
Hi, I've got an important call for you. Please hold the line.
Mommy, it's Sherry.
Oh God, Sherry, we looking for you all the time. 3 weeks now. Where you going?
Mommy, I'm calling to tell you I get locked up. I had drugs in my luggage and I'm in England right now. In jail.
Oh God, Sherry, what? What you do? How you reach there? Oh God, how we gonna do?
Oh God, Mommy, don't cry. It'll be alright. Sorry.
On Dependency, reality radio at its best every Sunday on I-95.5 FM. Don't miss it.
Hello, I am Lisa Lynch, the principal of Nelson Street Girls RSC School. We have the officers of the IATF And they're here today with us to assist in our daddy-daughter dance. Now, this is something that we have been having for the past 8 years. However, we know due to circumstances in Trinidad, sometimes not all the fathers could be here. So I remember the first year it was rather emotional for the girls and for the teachers because some daddies did not come. Mommy and daddy, they are at loggerheads with each other. Some fathers are incarcerated. Some fathers simply are not playing a part in their children's life. So this year and for the past few years, we've had officers coming in and they're dancing with the girls. Even today, we had a rather emotional incident where some of our girls are crying uncontrollably because their fathers are not here. But some of my fine officers are able to come, they're able to take the girls, able to dance with them in the dance. And I must say that I am truly appreciative to the members of the IATF.
Hi, my name is Tanir Kane, trauma survivor and trauma-informed care expert from the state of Maryland, United States. And you're listening to Eye on Dependency, where every life is a biography on I-95.5 FM, Trinidad and Tobago.
Thank you for staying with us. This is Eye on Dependency. We're talking domestic violence this morning. And of course, our spotlight is shining on the male victims of violence. And another reminder, again, to those of you tuned in online on our Facebook page or YouTube channel, please like the live. We have quite a few people on YouTube and only 14 likes, so we could do better than that. And Facebook as well. Just like the live, please. Thank you.
So, John, you're still with us, right?
Yeah.
All right. So, listen, let's talk about you said you would get up in the morning, you would make breakfast, and I mean, you were very dutiful, it sounds. But you said one of the things you gave her were tablets. What were the tablets for?
High blood pressure.
Okay. I thought it was something deeper than that because I was trying to connect the dots, like if the person had some mental issues and you were giving it.
The person has always used to tell me, I'm damaged goods, right, Ryan? You have to have right, John, you have to have patience with me, right?
Why was she damaged goods? What experiences had she had before that she confided in you about?
She said the ex-husband used to abuse her emotionally. Sometimes when she come home from work, he threw all her clothes outside. When she make breakfast, if she don't wipe down the stove after, she will come home and get the gas tank outside. If they use the dining set and they don't put back the chairs, all the chairs is be in the corridor and stuff. It's all the things that she told me about the ex.
Is what she did to you.
Yeah, what she did to me, and no, not really what she did to me. But when I sit down and think about it, if you was cheating on your ex and you coming home all hours, it's obvious he's going to throw your clothes outside. Right? If and she said if she don't wipe the stove, but between me and you, she wasn't cooking and doing these things, so he used to rest the gas tank outside. And this is another thing. There was a time she came home and she said, you had to go and take my bill, because I was by the house and something play off and I took one of those dumbbells and I break down the door to get to him. She break down the door in her ex-house, right? She is very, very aggressive, right? Very. There was a time she picked me up in the living room, run across the room, which is about 20 feet, and slammed me on the wall for something I said, right? And, it's like, you hear about women getting battered and they keep going back. Trust me, it have some men, we still doing it just because we love somebody wholeheartedly. And that's it.
And those are the same reasons why women stay as well, because they are emotionally attached to these abusers and they cannot see their way out of it. And it's the same with men.
But we always, in my mind, she's going to change. Somebody have a dumb saying that with time and love, the person will change. Trust me, that is the most dumbest statement anybody ever came up with, right?
Well, it's not helpful. Let me just put it that way. But I mean, a lot of what you're describing too speaks to the lack of resources for people to resolve conflict. If you are having a disagreement with your partner, somebody you're living with, somebody who you say you love, and you come home and they haven't cooked or whatever, there must be a way to resolve that without violence. Why are people so prone to treating violence as the solution to their problems?
Yep, and as well, John, you know, there's a saying, we tell women, from the time the man hit it the first time,
leave.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's over and done right there.
What do we tell men?
What do we tell men?
When you get hit, walk away.
Yeah.
You don't say go in the station. If somebody hit you, walk away. You don't say what to do after that.
Don't retaliate.
Don't defend yourself if you have to. Don't retaliate. Don't say nothing. And that's why many times we've seen it in a lot of social experiments. A woman will slap a man or attack a man in public. Nobody, they will get no response from members of the society. Some men just come in and hit the man too because they believe he do something wrong. So it's been proven with experiments that culturally we've been socialized as a people
to protect the woman
at all costs, even at the disadvantage of somebody who's really being abused.
Yeah.
And that is something that needs to change and can only change if we start sensitizing the population correctly.
But you know what was hurtful too? Where we live in, all the houses are close by, and my neighbors and them, they already signed some documents for me stating how she was very, very verbal and how they used to always hear her cursing me and quarreling and stuff. Now, this is the man getting up in the morning, 5 o'clock, making breakfast and lunch for her. This is the man who's cleaned the house. On top of that, wash her clothes, see about the cars, see about the yard, do everything in the house. She doesn't have a finger to lift to do anything, right, for 7 years, right? And the only reason why he stopped is because he realized he was cheating on him. He was reading the texts and stuff. He knew what was going on, and that is why I stopped, right? And it's like, because how could you do something for somebody, everything to make them happy, and this is what the person will do, right? I mean, look at another thing too. Life is so unfair. My accident took place at 3:45 p.m. This is how I know the exact time my accident took place. When she went to the court to take out a protection order, she marked that I run into the car, and she's suffering from psychological damage. That is what the protection order had on it, right? The summons, had on it, right?
But what really happened? But what really happened? What in your
I came out of a taxi and I was going to cross the road. Time I look up, I see this car coming towards me at 120. She hit me from in the front of the car. When she hit me from in the front of the car, part of the bottom part of the bumper got damaged. I fly up in the air. I land on the rearview mirror and the windscreen, right? While we were in court, there are 2 keys for that car. She have the 2 keys. She told the judge that I came there some night, opened the bonnet, and tampered with the airflow, the container where the airflow filter is be, right? Thing about it is, you have the 2 keys for the car has an alarm and stuff. All the neighbors there, one of the neighbors has cameras and stuff, right? But the same place where the airflow container, the filter is the same place I land on the car, right? So that is the thing, and it's like nobody explains. And the next thing is, I made a mistake and take a woman lawyer. And after the court case, the woman lawyer said, "Ryan, you sure you want to go? You want to go on with this property settlement, because after all these years, all the stuff I was doing, you telling me now I have to walk away with nothing. She gets everything. It's hard. After my accident,
before you get off of that point, normally in the vice versa scenario, if he said they lived together and it was her house, and he lived 7 years, it means they have a common law relationship. It means he has rights to the house. The things he's described, washing, cooking, cleaning, preparing of meals, mean he's developed something called a constructive trust, something that was developed for women in domestic situations to protect them from men who own the house and the title on their name only. But look at it. He had to, and that is why I believe he was threatened to leave till they leave the house, because he had a right and claim
to give up his rights and claim.
Correct. You understand?
While you all saying that, we went to court for the protection order, and she keep bringing up in the court case. We was never a couple. We were always on and off. So then I realized in the back of her head, she's studying the house, right? Imagine for a protection order, have nothing to do with this property settlement. She keep bringing it up. So she's trying to safeguard that and to get every single thing. On top of that, when I got in accident in San Fernando General Hospital, my spine shift half inch. And after 3 weeks, now I'm supposed to be in a neck brace for 6 months at least. I have to take off that neck brace, get into a vehicle to go to work, because I have 3 kids to see about. I have a rent now. I have all sorts of things I have to do. Just to feed my children and pay my bills, I have to work, and I am not medically fit. And there's no one to help me for that. There's nobody to talk to about it, right? Counseling, sometimes I lie at night and I cry, and I keep crying. There was a time one of my friends carried me out. He said, come, let's go and take a beer. After the 3rd beer, my friend, he didn't know what to do, because after the 3rd beer, with alcohol, right, I break down and cry, and I tell him I was missing her, and I still love her. So I am staying far from alcohol. Alcohol brings out emotions
you
want no part of.
Good move, John. But apart from
alcohol can do that to you.
No, but I wanted to ask John before we start to wrap up. Was there anybody, your children, any other relatives, your neighbors, did anybody approach you and offer help, assistance, guidance, any advice, anything while you were going through this?
Well, you see, that's the thing. They alienate you. So my family, from the day one, my family don't like her. They will talk to her and stuff out of common decency, right? And they will just, like, morning, evening, how you going and stuff.
But they wouldn't tell you anything about her.
They already told me they don't like him right now. The few people I have in my circle, they told me the day I go back with her, that's it. Consider them dead. Right? Because from in the beginning, they never liked her. They saw the attitude that she had. When I could have been spending more time with my kids, right? She used to pull that away. She, for all these years, never cook or something and, give them kids. She never do that, right? And that's the thing. Like when I come in home from work, I do construction. Sometimes I come in home early, sometimes late. But most of the time it's late because I always have work. And I will call her, you cook, you make anything? And the answer is always no. Right? And when the answer is always no, it's like if I come in home before 7, I will cook when I reach home in the evening. If not, I will pick up stuff. So every single day, you could say, or every other day, I am buying stuff and I'm bringing it home. Right? Sometimes when I come home like 6 something, I will walk in the room. You hungry? No, I don't want anything. I will go into the kitchen make about 2 or 3 sandwiches and give her juice or something. And when I walk into the room, she will turn around and it's one big bright smile. I could actually see the smile as I was saying it. And when I see she smile, I just used to be the happiest person alive, no matter what she do. Even if she cussed me before or if she hit me the day before, right? I will be still the happiest person alive. And then I will walk out the room and I will make something else for me, right? I mean, and that's the other thing. Sometimes the mistake I used to make is every day I get up is a new day. No matter what happened the day before, push forward and try to forgive and forget what happened the day before. And that was a mistake I used to be making all the time. John, I used to be making
Are you, at the end of all of this, it seems to me that you're suffering from a battered husband syndrome, clearly, right? And this is a defense that is often used in court. But do you feel like you're in a safe space now? I mean, I know it's pretty fresh, you're just out of the relationship, but do you feel like you're in a safe space and you have the resources to help you stay away from this individual?
No. I don't.
And I want you to realize something, John didn't leave her, John is only now in I would deem a better place because she left him. Right. And that is something you need to focus on.
Because from the way John sounded now, like if he would have still been with her.
Correct, because John knows me, yes. I've represented John in other things and helped him the same way, and he never even explained or disclosed this to me until she left. So this is something that you can see happen to people who are, being abused, and it doesn't have anything to do with gender, as we like to make it sound. Correct. To have men going through the same thing. Correct. He is hopeful to stay, and men need to know sometimes you need to leave. I have videos sent to me sometimes by men's sister who with their wives stabbing up. I have one on my phone right now, stabbing up, ripping up the chairs because his sisters came over and she didn't want them over. So she didn't stab him, but she's destroying the property in the house. Right. And that man, they wanted me to arrange the gender-based violence unit to go to him, and he didn't want them to come because in his mind he feels he could fix it. Men sometimes by nature believe we's fixers, we could fix everything, and we could fix that, and we could fix that. So and I say a name too, John. You understand? This is something men need to look at. You have to know that you could leave too when it's time to leave. You had to be able to leave too, because he had exposed places he know he could get help, but he told himself, if I go to it, I might have to leave.
John, stick up in. Hold on. If you're just joining us, ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Dependency, and we are speaking. We have Mr. Rhondall Feeles in studio with us, and we are speaking with John, who, for the first time on Independence, we actually have a man telling his story of what he went through. And John, we really appreciate it. You never know, you might be motivating some other men who listening to you this morning to come out and speak about it. True. Because there's no shame in it. True. We have abusive people on both sides living on planet Earth. True. And because of the nurturing of women and the unity, we don't expect this from women. Yeah. It's always demand. Demand is get, because I'm sitting here thinking now, maybe some murder suicide cases could have been people like John, but he never had a chance to come out and say anything and just take it out on the spouse. But John, you were going to say something.
Right. As you were talking about that, now, back then, I didn't have a tablet, right? And I'm kind of old, right? So my phone, but remember your phone smaller than a tablet, right?
Right.
And sometimes when I come home, this is long before anything happened, right? I will come home while she probably watching a movie or something. I might just sit on the bed, and I will take her tablet and I will just go through, play some Candy Crush or whatever. She have one, right? But the thing is, all your electronic devices will link together. So sometimes, like, I see credit card payments and stuff coming in. So, like, same thing with the text messages. I just used to be playing game. If any messages come in, it come like I know what she's doing behind my back. And there was a day now, she tell me come, and I was like, come and sit down with me and rub my foot for me. I would say, I come in now. And I remember that day she came in the room. When I tell you come here, you know you're not supposed to come, my feet are hurting. And she take the tablet and slam that tablet down on the ground and break it. And you wouldn't believe, that day I guess so frightened I didn't even know what to do. But when I look back at it now, that's her tablet. That is not my tablet. And these are the kind of people, when they get into that rage, they don't care what they do and who they do it to. She just pull it away and slam it on the ground and mash up the whole screen. Right? That is the kind of violent person she is. And I still stayed with her because I love her. Right? And the other thing is, if she comes and say, let's start over fresh, I don't want to say it live on air, but all I can say is I don't know what I'm going to do. Because when these people get into you, it's like they have a hold on you and you cannot let go. It's like, if I tell you now, if something happened, and that's the other thing, she knows me. Because before, if like something happened and stuff, and I just leave and go somewhere, she will call me about an hour or two after and said, I'm feeling sick, I have fever, I had this. And although I'm mad, I will just drop what I'm doing and back home. When COVID was there, she got COVID, right? She say, go by the other house and stuff before you get it. I said, no, you have COVID, I am not leaving. And I was there, I got the tablets for her, and I was taking care of her, you know, feeding her, rubbing her down, doing every single thing, right? I mean, in the beginning and stuff, and before all this girl used to get rubbed up. I used to bathe her, rub her down in the evening, you know, and everything was perfect. I mean, when she have the flare-up and she started getting on and thing, I just used to leave her, let she tell me what she had to tell me, let she do me whatever she had to do. But and in my mind, I thinking she loves me, and that is the way she expressing the love. Because she told me the ex-husband used to get on, so I said, well, that's probably the only way she know how to love, right? But in the beginning, you see, that is the thing, in the beginning they come to you, they buy you presents, they're soft-spoken. If you say anything, they're listening to you, they're doing it. That is how they get you hooked.
John,
and after they get you hooked, that is it.
John?
Yeah.
I have a feeling that this is not the last time we're going to be speaking with you. You just opened a can of worms here that we need to keep open. And with the help and support of Mr. Feeles here, and what we plan to focus on in the next couple of weeks coming, going forward, we need to continue to speak with you. We just want to thank you.
Right. Before, just let me say one quick thing. Right? When I got into the accident, I remained there for 2 hours, right? And I remained there for 2 hours on the ground. My neighbor called his police friend. He came there with the vehicle. They were there to make sure nobody run over me again. Then now, they had to call their friends at the fire station now to get an ambulance to get me off of the road and to the hospital.
2 hours?
So 2 hours, it was more than 2 hours, sorry, right? I was there on that hot pitch, right? When I was in the hospital, I tell the police, it had a police come in for some other incident. I told the police, he said, when you finish and you come out of the hospital, go and make a report. When I came out, the next day I went and I made the report. They took the report. And up to this day, since the 3rd of October, nobody never came to investigate the matter.
Oh, my God.
Nobody came to my house to find out what happened to me, right? When with the thing with the summons now, when I called to find out about it, the officer said, I had her on the line, so I was like, what about my matter with so-and-so? She said, but ain't you taking that civil? I said, no, I came in, I made a report, and I told them I am pressing charges against her. I am going, what she did, I cannot forgive her for that. And the officer said, well, then she gave me a next excuse that when the police came on the scene, you wasn't there. When them and the ambulance come, I say, how long after? Because remember the report was made to the 99 unit, but these other police came was the petty larceny people, right? But the thing is, if a report was made, right, and all you come and the person not there, you must ask the neighbors, and I am living right there. So you telling me nobody tell all you, well, they take him down to the hospital? Right? Nobody, and then...
John, which police station have you been liaising with, if you don't mind saying?
My lawyer advised me not to call the area, but I will tell you off air.
All right.
Right?
Fair enough.
But Rhondall knows which area I am from, so he will know.
No,
right?
because the only reason I asked is because we had some police officers on our Dependency for the last couple of weeks, and your story is one that we would have liked them to address in terms of how police are supposed to respond to these things, to these incidents.
Right. No, the thing is, she telling me, but you go in civil. I never told you all I go in civil, right? And then now on top of that, she asked me, she said, you have a medical and thing. I said, when I made the report, I presented the medical card. And he took it down and he have it there. I said, but I still have it and I still give it to her, right? And that is the thing. So she now taking down that, but the original one has the medical record. Because everything was done in the hospital, where they did 3 CT scans, they did 3 sets of x-rays. They keep doing everything to make sure, right? And, well, my spine shift 1/2 inch, right? So basically, I'm not supposed to be moving at all, but I have to because financially, right now, I am not stable, and I have my kids to see about.
John,
right?
We will keep in touch with you, right? I will call you later, and we'll put our plan in motion here. Because you started it, you're the voice now for the voiceless, as Mr. Feeles have been championing. I now see why Mr. Feeles here be so angry at times. Because to be hearing these stories on a daily basis, just like people call me and talk to me about what they're experiencing with their child and the system that they have to reach out to for help, and they're not getting it, it leaves us angry. It's just that I try to bottle it up. I understand now. So, John, we want to thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
For taking the time to being so open and honest with us this morning.
And I have to thank you all for having me, because let me tell you something. I wouldn't wish my worst enemy to go through what I'm feeling right now.
No. Yeah. And we also send, love and support and strength to your children as well, because your children are looking on. Do you have boys or girls?
2 boys and a girl, and my children have been through hell.
Absolutely.
Rhondall will give you the story off air.
Absolutely.
They have been through hell, and only October last year, hell came to an end, right? Okay. And everything in my life started to go good, right?
Well, you have to continue to live for them, because they are seeing you as you are the example that of the male role model in their life. And
because I have them since 2012,
right?
And I will never forsake my children for anybody. Absolutely. And there's a lot of times that she used to get mad when I spending extra money and stuff on them. And there's a sign. So all the men listening, anytime you pick up a woman and she is like giving you little gifts, well, not little, but extravagant gifts, like, expensive stuff, and telling you that she loves you and she this and that, be on the lookout, right? Because it have a lot of other things that I could tell you now, because I have seen it with my own eyes.
John, don't worry, we'll keep in touch with you. We have to go.
All right?
But thank you very much. God bless you. And we will definitely chat again. We will have a part 2 of you on this program with Mr. Feeles. All right?
Okay, then. No problem.
Keep the faith, my brother, and just don't answer your phone when you see your calling. All right, take care. We'll talk.
Thank you.
All right then. Take care.
Bye bye. Rhondall,
right? I mean, that is a taste.
Yeah,
I've seen
I
so
could
much.
imagine you hearing and seeing pictures and videos and all of these things.
Yeah, I've dealt with a number of men, as I tell you, they're faced in a circumstance that society don't ever believe they're being abused.
Right.
I mean, I've dealt with a man who was abused by the system and the mother at the same point in time. I always remember that case from South, I think it was Barakpo, where there was a father who endured 2 strokes. And he endured 2 strokes, and he was made to continue paying child maintenance for a 25-year-old woman. You hear what I'm saying? So he mind the child from 12 years old. You know, when they reach 18, you could extend it to 21, and then she decides she wants to do something else, they extend it. So in this case, he had 2 strokes by the time she got to that age, and the court had inflicted him with that. Or else he was, at the time I got into it, he was facing to go to jail. And for him not being able to pay the maintenance, in his house, there's an upstairs and a downstairs. With the strokes, the wife put him to live in the upstairs, and she would take the lights off from the breaker downstairs. So he had no current, and he had no bathroom. He had to come downstairs with the strokes to bathe by the standpipe. And I always remember that she had a boyfriend, and he had pictures where he came before the magistrate, where the boyfriend would come and beat him too, inside of the house. And nothing was being done until we got involved, and we got when he went to the court, the lawyer went to she reached out to us, because when she went in the court and highlighted all these things to the magistrate didn't care. The magistrate said he does be taking a little drink still. If he could take a little drink, he could pay maintenance still, despite the fact. And these kind of things.
Wow.
And it's only when we highlighted and we summoned the court to get the transcript of the words of the magistrate went on pre-retirement leave immediately. And then we got gender-based violence unit to step in and to stop her before a court. Eventually we got court orders made. But they came in and instructed her not to take the lights off on the man. So the man with 2 strokes living in the dark upstairs in his own house. And strangely enough, after he got all these things corrected, some years after, I got a threatening message on my phone. Make sure and call me now, Mr. Feeles, because you don't know me. And if you know what gonna happen, this, that, and if you know what we could do, threatening about him, man. Well, they don't know me, blah, 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 blah. So then one of my outreach officers reached out to the person, and it was his wife. And the funny thing is now, she was getting heart surgery. And like, because he was the owner of the house, he had to give something saying that consent to say that she was living there or something. And at that point, he refused to. So she couldn't get the surgery done. So she was calling me
so she
to
had
threaten me to make him do it, or else she go do me and he something. You understand? Well, you know me afraid them thing.
You know what's scary about this? These are people who could be in any arm of the protective service or the public service.
Correct.
They come to work looking normal. How they interact with staff, that's another story. But these are people who help run our country.
Every day. But some of them are social workers too.
Yeah. And that is what's scary about this whole thing. You know, I'm listening to John and I'm thinking, you know, I was in Natasha and I said, the day she put her hand on me, that's it. And I did.
No, they will do anything, but you know I can't.
But what I'm saying,
I never know.
And vice versa.
Yeah, correct.
I'm not going to, because I don't want to live in that kind of environment.
Correct. And as I say, it's not just the hand. Sometimes no blows are passing, but the words so harsh. When your wife telling you, boy, that is why you could only go for 1 minute.
Yeah.
That is why the man before you, I would always never forget my ex, because he was better in bed than you. Sometimes he lash from a blow with your hand better than that in your heart,
Correct.
But have you ever met someone who paid maintenance for a child that wasn't theirs?
Oh boy, and you never see me do videos upon videos with that? You ain't following?
No, I saw
Marlon Thompson was the first person. Because of Marlon Thompson, we actually now have a high court order. Because that woman wanted to attack me in court too and all, down in Point 14. So in Marlon Thompson's case, he was paying the money to the mother outside of the court. Because they say, hey, we done this court thing. But you see, because persons at that time didn't have information about, hey, you always, once you pay a maintenance order, pay it to the court. Because even if you paid to the mother, she could say that was money you owe her. She could say all kind of other reasons. And now, 3 years after, he decides he moving on and he going to get married. And it was his new wife who called me and told me that she is in problems. Because she now, after he got married, decided to go to the court and withdraw the warrant for almost 3 years. So the bill looking somewhere around $40,000-$50,000 for him to pay. And with that now, he has no money to pay it. He went to the court, he told the court what happened. At that point in time, there was less empathetic towards men because the advocacy had now started. And then he decided, well, here what? Instead of making jail, he said, what do you think I could do? Well, go and do opportunity test. But in his heart, he believed the child was his. So he just did that because he can't do nothing else. Because that's the only thing that might save you. It was still might at that time because nothing like this had ever been done. And when he did the paternity test, the child came back not to be his child. So we have a man who have a warrant against him to go to jail for a child that wasn't his. So what happened? At that time, we were able to get the magistrate to stop the maintenance. So though the maintenance did stop, the warrant is still in existence because the magistrate has no power now to quash the warrant. So there's a warrant sitting for him to be taken directly to jail for about $30,000, which was part of the total warrant bill. And the magistrate couldn't do nothing. We had to go to High Court. So when we go to High Court now, we had to get a stay of the warrant from a judge who we were able to get so through our attorney so that they wouldn't lock him up until the matter is finished. And after 2 years of being in the court, then the judge, well, they had all the evidence that the child wasn't his and he shouldn't be paying maintenance in the first place. And then the matter was squashed. So there's a High Court precedent now that if this happens to you, you could have it quashed. You could have the warrant quashed at the High Court level.
Was there an option to have him repay the sums that he would have?
Have her repay to him?
Yes.
That is the thing. If he goes to a civil court, nobody has done that as yet. Most men, when they hear that, there's a particular father, he was a GB police officer at the point in time. And this was a matter in Shoguna's court. And when he went, the matter was separation, alimony, and child maintenance. So before paying child maintenance, he just decided, well, if I had to go down this road, do 2 paternity tests one time. Both daughters were not his. And at the end of the day, fall to the ground, cry. You don't care about the money past before, What you care now is that every memory and experience you have with that child, even though the experience happened, that wasn't your child. Then the questions come in, they often tell me is, whose child is it?
Yes.
Because you don't know if the child is a brother child. You don't know if the child is a partner child.
Right.
You don't know so it is something that destroys you totally, You don't want to see, I often tell people, it is the worst. I see men before they go talk all kind of talk. Boy, this, you can care and rah, everything I go in my way and whatever. And when it happen and they realize it's not their child, you could see the emotional damage and breakdown. And strangely enough, in the first case in Marlon Thompson, the boy, even though I think he was about 13, he's an adult by now, he stayed with Marlon and lived with Marlon as Marlon as his father and stay away from the mother after.
Okay. Folks, I think that this is just the beginning of these programs with Rhondall. Rhondall, I would like us to continue to champion this part of, because like I said, we've done it for women ad nauseum, and the men continue to stay in the shadows. I think it's about time that we come out and reveal some more of these stories. And we thank you for facilitating us today.
I appreciate that.
And be looking forward to.
I know if you mind, we give the information for international.
Yes, let's talk about that. Yes, let's talk about that, please.
Because I say I don't go and see my son, but
yes,
yeah. So as you may know, God, I don't think the population know what we're doing for this International Men's Day celebration.
Yes.
We are able to have regional dignitaries invited, and they will be attending. We partnered with the Office of the Prime Minister to do so. We also have male examples now from Tobago partner with us, and we have the Hope and Action Network, that is a female organization They are partnering with us as well for the International Men's Day celebration. We start on Sunday 17th with a national march called Men with Purpose. So in that march, we plan to leave the promenade and head to the Queen's Park Savannah. While en route, stop in particular places where we'll have men like myself, Pastor Dutton, Earl Fabian, the Minister of Health from Grenada will be speaking as well. I know Minister Stuart Young said he would want to speak as well. Minister Webster Roy. We have Alan Ferguson from the Scrap Iron. All men that you see on the ground and moving all the time. I'm hoping you come to GAT as well.
Yeah, that's next Sunday morning.
That is next Sunday, but then you'll...
Yeah, we'll be here.
You understand. But don't worry, just bang it on the radio and make sure people come. And this march is a march for men, and we're asking women to come as well. But you have one condition. Walk with a male. Walk with your son. Walk with your brother. Walk with your cousin. Walk with your nephew. So many men in your life. We want women there supporting men for this walk. It is critical. It is important. We get to the promenade at 8 by Abercrombie. And then we start the proceedings from there going forward. On the Monday, we go in after, that's the Sunday. On the Monday, which is the first day of our conferences, it's for young male empowerment. We call it Boys to Men. We'll have a number of discussion panels where we take on a number of issues when it comes to education, where it comes to staying away from gang recruitment, where it comes to financial literacy. This one close to my heart. I on that panel. Financial literacy and the non-traditional journey of entrepreneurship. So I've selected businessmen like myself who we ain't do good in school, but we still make it. So that persons understand, hey, the education is actually learning with intent, not only academic. You understand? So that I think is something that is important. On the Tuesday, which is International Men's Day itself. I know all of didn't know before, but November 19th is International Men's Day. We are going to have the Males Conference. And at the Males Conference, we're going to have the ministers from various nations speak. We have people coming from Grenada, Anguilla, St. Kitts and Nevis, Montserrat, St. Lucia, all across the region coming here. And we're talking about cabinet members coming here to just not only to celebrate, but also for us to put our minds together. On the Wednesday, we're having a closed-door stakeholders meeting with the government officials from all the member states, advocates, community police, so that we find a way to treat with some of the social ills that men are suffering from. We know men are 90.7% for the last 2 years, the victims of murder. They're 84% the victims of suicide. They're 94% the victims of homelessness. And these are vulnerabilities that must be discussed. And I often tell mothers, these figures, if you have sons, you should be very concerned, because they are that more likely in those percentages than the girl who stands next to them to become those things. A murder statistic, a suicide victim, or a homeless man. And it is because I must say I have sons that I can't stop doing this because I don't want them to fall in any of those categories. So we ask you guys to come out, go to our social media page. We'll share the numbers with you guys to share for us as well.
Yes. And what
is
we
the
plan to
social
do?
media page? Where can people
Single Fathers Association.
Single Fathers of... All right. I'm going to tag them
Please,
in the chat.
Thank you. So we'll post the flyers there and the information. Hey, we're going to have a real cool feature as well. The Telecommunication Authority of Trinidad and Tobago. They've sponsored something called ICT for Boys. So where they'll be teaching boys on a virtual program, artificial intelligence. They will also be sending their artificial intelligent avatar. So at the boys forum, they'll be able to walk up to it, speak to it, they'll communicate with you. And at the adult forum, the avatar will be co-hosting that function as well. So that is something for people to come and come out to and see the kind of technology we have right here in Trinidad and Tobago.
So, what our part for next Sunday, we will be calling and taking live calls from the march.
Nice.
So we talk with you,
that.
Mr. Cadet, and
that.
So that is already in motion.
Good.
That at least we will let our listeners know what's going on
in the march.
On the march at the time.
Nice.
All right.
So guys, thanks for having me.
Rhondall, thank you very much too for coming through.
Definitely.
And let's keep this conversation going.
All
right, because it's important, and let's give more men out there that voice that they need to come out and speak up. Because could be a lot more men going through what
Of
John
course.
going through, and they're not getting.
And John, as I said, he started it. So other men, if you're listening, let's continue. That's the only way it's going to change.
Yes.
I could go and talk about it how much I want. You could go, unless we see evidence of it.
The proof is in the pudding.
Correct.
All right. So let's go to a break, and we come back with that short feature from Mr. Webster Roy.
Yes.
And then we take your calls. So we'll be back. Stay right there.
Yes, girl. Online here with this weirdo named Larry. I'm getting rid of him now. Let's take a selfie. It looking good, boy. I putting it online.
Hey, I thought you say you went to the beach with your parents.
Who's you?
It's me, Larry, from online.
Hello. Hi, this is Patricia Kent from HMP London. Can I speak to Miss Sheila, please? This is Miss Sheila. Hi, I've got an important call for you. Please hold the line.
Mommy, it's Sherry.
Oh, God, Sherry, we looking for you all the time. 3 weeks now. Where you going?
Mommy, according to Talia, I get locked up. I had drugs in my luggage and I'm in England right now. In jail.
Oh, God, Sherry, what? What you do? How you reach there? Oh, God, how we gonna do?
Oh, God, Mommy, don't cry, don't cry, don't cry. It'll be all right. Sorry, I'm sorry.
Eye on Dependency. Reality radio at its best every Sunday on I 95.5 FM. Don't miss it.
Good day. I am PC Gray of the IATF Hearts and Minds program. Today we are the Court Song Specialist Spaniard, where we have members of the Beverly Hills Police Youth Club taking on the initiative of Pan Practice. This is one of the many initiatives that we have presently ongoing right now at the IATF Hearts and Minds program.
Alright, hello everyone. My name is Akim Laria. Alright, I am a musician full-time. I am working along with the Court Sound Specialist of Laventille Youth Steel Orchestra. And this is a program started along with the ITF, and we are working along with them to, create a safe space for the youths to grow, right? Learn about music.
We have been talking with Rhondall Feeles, who's the president of the Fathers Association of Trinidad and Tobago. He's just left the studio. He's heading to, I think, the Oval, to the Savannah to watch his son play cricket. And I don't know if you've been with us for the entire morning, you would have seen that we've put into our promo blocks some videos from the Hearts and Minds Facebook page that we didn't have a chance to share the last couple of weeks. And then I don't know if you noticed that most, if not all, of the leaders in these activities and that are being conducted with children are men. So there are a lot of positive aspects to males' contribution to society, and I'm glad that we included those clips in today's show, especially because I want people to pay attention to that. In addition to the conversation that we had with John earlier, expressing his, sharing his lived experience with a woman who was physically and emotionally abusive towards him. It is the first time that we've had such an interview on Iron Dependency, and it's really eye-opening because a lot of the things that we discuss with women about what they go through with their abusive partners, John is experiencing these very same things. So although it is a fact that there are more women who are victims of domestic violence, we can still acknowledge that yes, men experience the almost exact same abuses at the hands of women. And the response of the public, neighbors, family members, police, magistrates, to these incidents of violence, because that's what they are at the end of the day, whether physical or not. They're still violent acts and need to be treated accordingly.
Yeah. And as I'm listening to this while the conversation going on, in my mind, I had to forgive so many people because they didn't know the way I was treated by some who I reached out to on my journey to try to get this message out that drugs is going to be a very major part of our society. It is going to take control of a lot of people. And I was treated like I was up to something nefarious, and had to leave feeling dejected every time, coming home dejected every time, and had to separate that issues from you and I living together and the cats and the cats, and it's really difficult. But as men, we need to suck it up. As men, we mustn't cry out. And this is why many times I've never come on radio. Mr. Phil will be trying to call you, but something going on with your line.
Tell him he will hear me very soft.
Mm-hmm.
We all are on. Just tell
all right.
that we're going to send him live, okay?
So, is for men in our society, for some men, it's really difficult. I could tell you, and I have to speak about this because I've met people who made me feel like I shouldn't even look at myself in the mirror. Hello?
Hello? Yes?
Mr. Filbert? Yes, sir. Morning.
Morning.
I didn't know if you called at a bad time, but I know you were listening, and there was something that...
John, the bad time was when the guy was talking, you know.
Huh?
The bad time is when John was talking.
Oh, right. No, but you said something though to me in a message here that you think that they should have gone further, and not.
John, I am kind of bewildered to hear that somebody was. Are you gonna backfeed or anything?
No.
That somebody was deliberately bouncing with a car, and a police officer telling them about civil action. John, that's a criminal.
Absolutely.
I'm not John Gat.
Yeah.
Yes, and Natasha, let me say good morning to you and your listeners and your viewers. I didn't get a chance to see that because
morning.
Yes, morning.
Somebody was trying to talk to me in the line, I couldn't hear it. Let me say something. I heard the man, and most of the things that he said there, he endured that. Now, the thing about it is, now we are hearing that what he went through. It is information for us to understand what men go through. Well, women go through too. Mm-hmm. But there's a certain action that had to be taken. And he even tells you up to now, apparently we see this woman, he's spellbound.
Yes.
But the thing about it is, when somebody takes a motor and bounce down in the street, I hear in this episode about we didn't know where to find you. That sounds like a joke, John. I think we need to find out what really happened.
Yeah, we need to.
This is one of the things called ferocious driving. And clearly this was an attempt to kill this man. You can run down somebody. Attempt murder.
Correct.
Thank you very much.
Correct.
I don't understand. I'm saying, but what is this, boy?
Yeah, because from what he described, he went up, threw him in the air, drop on the car. That's attempted murder, as you said.
That's a horror story, right?
Absolutely.
And
that's attempted murder. I don't understand how somebody tell him what you say. You will take your own action or what kind of thing. I don't know if there are statements in that saying that this man say he don't want any action, because if you tell the police that me want no action, this is my love and thing, that's a different thing. But the police need to have something to stand up and say, this is what the man tell me, and therefore we can't force it from the court. But the thing about it, I hear you say that she should not be what? Working in, she shouldn't be driving, John. I think it's John.
Yeah.
Yep.
What people do driving? This is a woman who uses a vehicle as a weapon.
Yeah.
She shouldn't be driving at all on you. This is a woman who, if you give her a badge, right, she'll run in and kill you.
Yes.
Yes.
That's what is happening. This is somebody who has a mental problem. From what this man described, this is somebody who is not only a narcissist. This person is a psychopath. She behaves one way, Jekyll and Hyde. Jekyll and Hyde, she gives nice gifts and things, but I mean, I don't understand what was this man's spell that he was under. He might be of a qualified Blake saying. You know?
Or Blake. Maria? Is Maria?
Yeah, this is Maria.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a piece of pattern in it. So I can see wherever. So, you know.
Yes, well, hopefully, Mr. Filbert, we'll have John back on and we can get a response from the police service.
I heard you say. Now, if I knew they didn't say where the police station is, but I trust that if I had that information, I would pursue it in your interest and in John's interest. If I have that information where what police station it is, I know who I could interact with to find what really happened here.
Yes.
So that we would have another side of the story, but that is a horrible thing.
Yeah.
It is, absolutely.
Yeah. And it lends precedence to the fact that they really don't take men seriously with these things.
Correct.
You know?
I will tell you.
Because the other way around.
I mentioned a story that an incident that took place in my yard some time ago. I don't know if I told you about it, where I woke up early one morning and a man was beating the life out of a woman in front of my gate.
Yes.
And it was a violent thing. The man actually, when he finished kicking up the woman, he took a stone and said, and then he jumped in a car and drove off. But the police got 2 reports. The police never came to ask, and I gathered the new report because when I started to see this, yes, we got the report. But they never came to me and asked me what happened here and so on. And when I did my own investigation, eventually I found that the woman was at the San Fernando, was 6 surgical. She spent at least a week there. And then I heard that somebody said that she didn't want any action. You know, the problem with that is, and I came onto a program that was discussing violence against women, and I was pointing out what happens in the UK, because I had training there on these things, where when women are saying, look, I don't want any action because of their own circumstances, where they think they will be unsafe and they don't have any support anymore, and they talk about the children and so on. The man who is the offender, he's targeted by the authorities. Yes. And if it is that he is, like this woman, how she drives, they will target her. They will target them from OPC, they go to the rum shop. If they're in the rum shop and they come out drunk on the street, they take them away.
Yes.
And so on, so that what you prevent, after when you get to understand that the authorities are taking careful attention to him and they don't need the help of the victim to take him in custody. And they take him. But to stand up and say, and one of the officers did mention something I gathered, that it is difficult to do that. I don't understand the word difficult when you're trying to save a situation, when you're trying to preserve a situation. What does the word difficult come up? You understand? I was actually telling them about something that actually happened that we were trained in, and they were just dishing it. They were just throwing it down as if, well, I was talking, off the cuff. It is not off the cuff. And civilizations way ahead of us in terms of what they do, understand how difficult domestic violence is, and they understand these challenges that victims have. This man certainly had challenges. I don't know what it was that he kept coming back and coming back and coming back, trying to make some people who rescue him. But he seemed to become helpless.
Yes.
To the point where he said, even I took a drink, I went back to the woman.
Mr. Filbert?
That's a dangerous situation. If I get the information, I will pursue that because it touches me and I find that thing makes sense. It can make sense, and this thing needs attention.
Okay, sir. We'll keep in touch. Thank you very much for taking our call.
Right.
I appreciate it. Always listening to Dependency. That was former Commissioner of Police James Filbert. And, of course, we have, other Stone supporters listening to us this morning. Morning, Miss Archie. Morning, Lindsay out there in Brooklyn. And, This one, let's take a couple calls quick before we wrap up. 622-3937. We have major news up next with Mr. Daily Knock at 12. Like I was saying, Natasha, there are people who what is so difficult to look out for each other, boy? What is so difficult to go the distance to help somebody? What would it cost you? It wouldn't cost you anything.
But God, think about it from your point of view or your perspective. I think as a man, if you have information about a man being abused in a situation similar to what John was in, how would you intervene? Because I know for women, it is much easier for us to do that. If I see somebody attacking Tamika out in the road, I am going to try to help, either to help her physically or find somebody to help, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or ask her after the fact, how can I help?
Right.
I know women have that kind of connection.
Yeah.
How is it for men? Why are men reluctant to intervene in situations where they see other men being abused?
I don't know. I can't explain that. How Rhondall did it? There are a few of us out here, but we need the people who we could turn to now for support to help the men that we trying to help. And that's the problem right there.
Getting help for the men that
That's
get
right.
help.
That's right. This is what I'm saying.
The systems.
How many unanswered calls and messages and emails and
yes.
things that I've been through.
And brick walls and closed doors.
So when I get to see someone, I am really appreciative of it and I get a chance. But it has to be ongoing. You know, like I said, there are times that you ever wash your face? Well, I know he has a comb, but wash your face, brush your teeth, and never look at yourself in the mirror once. I've done that.
Yeah.
Because people make me feel like crap.
Yeah.
And I couldn't look at myself, and I'm talking about just recently, I'm talking about years ago, I'm talking about ongoing, where I couldn't even look at myself in the mirror because people treated me like I don't deserve.
And you started to believe that.
I couldn't look at myself doing all these things and never look at myself once in the eyes in the mirror. Because of people that I've met on my journey here. They know themselves. Some of them even listen to the program. So I know what I'm talking. So when some men afraid to talk and don't want to talk, it's because we have it bottled up inside. So when we explode, I always give you the example about Missy. When we had a cat named Missy, my sister-in-law branded him an unrepentant beggar. and from it's at times I would reach home after meeting people who treat me like crap. And when I walk through the door, Missy stand up right there looking at me because Missy wants snacks. And at that time I bawl at Missy because I just had an encounter
outside.
Yes, with a government official. Or somebody appointed, associated by the government to run a ministry. And when it's after Missy skate outside and I changing my clothes, then I dig in myself. I say, God, Missy has nothing to do with it. Missy's a cat. Missy can't even talk. Missy don't know why I went through.
And Missy waiting to see you come home.
Yeah,
exactly.
Missy waiting for me to come home and
too.
happy to see me. I ball at Missy. No,
Mm-hmm.
I equated that to, I compared that to coming home to a wife.
Yeah.
Or children.
Or children. And they don't know what I went through, but they misdirected and I will take it out on them. Correct. Because the official I trying to reach, I can't tell them how I feel.
Correct.
So I will go home now, and a lot of them don't understand how they contributed to domestic violence indirectly. Because you don't want to hear me. I up to something. And I have stayed the course. I have been an advocate all my life. And still, I get that kind of treatment that...
To this day,
I will go home. I could go home and take it out on my wife and take it out on the cats and them.
Poor Missy boy.
You understand? And after I call Missy and say, oh God, Missy, come. And play with Missy and give Missy the snack because I realize Missy had nothing to do with what I went through outside. And that is what people, again, you could make a home happy by how you treat someone before they reach home. Just ponder on that. Ponder on that. If somebody is stupidness, you will know. But if somebody's strong in their faith and know what they're doing, help them. That's all the least you could do.
And we don't know either what these very people are going through in their homes, huh?
Right.
What,
and they come into work
they
to take
come
it
into
out and waiting for somebody
Correct.
like me. Yes.
So the cycle continues, the vicious cycle. But yes, very interesting program this morning.
Yes.
If you missed it, you can go back to Independency on Facebook or YouTube to listen to it in its entirety.
Great start to this conversation. 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. We have major news coming up next with my one and only friend, Daily
Knock.
My only friend. Take care, folks. Have a great week.
Good afternoon.
Be safe out there. Be courageous. Take care. Bye-bye.
Broadcasting from Port of Spain, Trinidad, this is the most influential